Welcome to Mark Gibson's Human Rights Channel, accountant with designations CPA, MBA, CMA, ACPA, ASA, Australia. Enjoy learning!
So good morning, class, and welcome to your financial market class. Today we'll discuss about time value of money. So last time we've discussed about shareholders equity, no? So of course, financial market, and under financial market we have short term and capital market. Under capital market is your stock or equity, no? So also during my discussion on stock investment, we've touched on some concepts of time value of money. So therefore, I decided to jump to this topic so that we'll be able to capture the entirety of time value of money. So what are our objectives for today? So number one, we need to discuss the concepts of compounding and discounting. Ano nga ba yan? No? So later on, we'll discuss that. Future value of a single value, future value of annuity due, present value of single value, should be present value of an annuity due, and solving time value problems using factor rate table. So later we'll discuss that. And of course, MS Excel. And as you know, I keep using MS Excel in solving different sample problems or discussion problems. So the last objective is, I mean, we're hitting this all the time, no? So okay, so what is time value of money? So time value of money, we can use it to compare investment alternatives, especially if we have constraints, no, in terms of say we only have limited funds, no, and of course even say we have excessive funds, we still need to compare investment alternatives, and one way to do it is through the use of time value of money. In fact, I prepared some discussion problems to make sure that we'll be able to cover this, no? It helps solve problems involving loans, mortgages, leases, savings, and annuities. Shows that the money today is not worth the money tomorrow or next year. Let's have an example, yung nilang pamasahe before, no? So back in my time, parang 5 pesos lang yata ang pamasahe sa jeep, no? So I'm not sure kung magkano na ngayon. Pero but what I'm trying to point out is the value of your money today is not worth the value of that money tomorrow or next year, because of what? Different factors, no, like inflation and syempre economic conditions, no? Of course, planning for retirement, and we've touched this during our discussion on stock investment, no? So if you want to watch that again, we have a recorded discussion on stock investment. You can always revisit that, no? But what I'd like to point out here is that time value of money we can use to plan for our retirement. So magkano ba dapat ang sinesave ko at this age, no? So that so that I can retire by 65, no? So basically yun yung pinag-usapan natin at that time, no? Of course, it's also a way to value our stocks and bonds, and it's also being used in different corporate decisions regarding capital investment. In fact, class, as soon as we're done talking about time value of money, we can also jump to discuss capital budgeting, because time value of money, we can also use it in different capital budgeting decisions, no? But we'll also go to that topic in the coming weeks, no? So this is a lengthy discussion, so but I'll make sure that towards the end of the class, you'll be able to comprehend, no, the different concepts on time value of money. So with that, let's go to compounding of interest and future values. Ano ba itong pinag-uusapan natin compounding? So compounding is the process of moving cash flows forward in time, while discounting is the process of moving cash flows back in time. So parang ganito lang yan, class. Pag ang pinag-uusapan natin is yung 10,000, for example, no, meron kang 10,000 pesos ngayon, gusto mong malaman magkano ba yung value ng 10,000 pesos ko ngayon in 10 years time. So that's compounding, no? So ang discounting naman is, for example, you're expecting, sabi kasi ni ma'am mo, no, when you graduate cum laude, bibigyan ka daw niya ng 100,000. Sana all. So for example, sabi natin second year ka pa lang ngayon, no? So in 2 years time, bibigyan ka daw ng 100,000 provided graduate ka ng cum laude. Kaya pala talaga lagi ka umattend sa class ko, no, to make sure na maintindihan mo yung concept kasi meron ka palang 100,000 pag cum laude, ha? So cum laude lang 'yon. Mas malaki pa pala pag magna cum laude or summa, no? So well, going back, so if you want to know the value of that 100,000 that you will receive in 2 years time, that's discounting, no? So yun lang yung difference, class, para at least mas mabilis mo maintindihan. Through compound interest, the value of small sums of money turns into an extremely large sums of money. Kasi nga, di ba, remember class, during our discussion on stock investment, if you're regularly saving, so di ba yung discussion natin at that time, kung magsasave ka ng 20,000 each year, up to the year of retirement, of course, nagko-compound yan. So yung capital at the same time interest will earn interest, and that's the concept of compound interest. And that's why it will accumulate into extremely large amount of money, no? Towards the end of, yun nga, yung example natin, towards the age of retirement, no? Now, how to solve the future value? Ito, class, we have introduced this also when we computed problems on stock investment. But then today we'll discuss it further, no, and in detail. No? So its future value is equals to how to compute the future value. No? So future value is equals to present value plus multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate and n raised to n. No? So ano ba yan? So, future value of the investment. So, inaalam mo nga how much will be the value of that investment in X number of years, no? Of course, interest I is the annual interest rate. PV is the present value or the current value or the value of your money today, no? And this N will be the number of years, no? Okay. To properly understand the concept, no, let's jump to discussion problem number 1. Let me read the requirement first. How much will Piolo's account be worth in 10 years? Now, let me read the problem. So para pa lang ito yung pinangakuan ng 100,000 pero in this case 10,000 lang. Anyway, Piolo receives a 10,000 pesos academic award this year for being the best student in financial market course. Aba, meron bang talagang ganito? Piolo places it in a savings account paying 5% annual interest compounded annually. So how much will Piolo's account be worth in 10 years? No? So basically, class, meron ka daw 10,000, dineposit mo, and it's giving you 5% annual interest and compounded annually. And then, magkano na kaya to in 10 years time? No? So, let's go to discussion problem number 1. So, like I said, we're utilizing Microsoft Excel as my blackboard, no, to compute for different discussion problems. No? Also, para at least mas ma-guide tayo sa discussion, I placed here the formula, no, to get the future value. So, basically, class, in the problem, given are the present value of 10,000. So, ayun. The interest rate of 5%, given din yan, class, and the terms, no, of 10 years. No? So that's also given. So the question or the requirement is how much will Piolo's account be worth in 10,000 in 10 years? No? Remember, meron siya 10,000 deposit niya in the bank, which earns 5% interest, no, annually, compounded annually. So let's derive the formula. So that's 10,000 multiplied by 1 plus 5% raised to 10, or the number of years, no? So we get 16,288.95, and that's the answer to requirement number 1. All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so compound interest with non-annual period. Of course, class, syempre, especially when we're negotiating with the bank, hindi naman palagi annual basis yan, no? They can also compound interest on quarterly, daily, or even continuous basis, no? Ngayon, yung ginawa natin kasing exercise kanina, ang sabi is compounded annually. Paano kung iba naman yung compounding, no? So what if it's not in an annual period, no? So basically, class, if it's done that way, we can say that we can earn more, no? So imagine kasi imbis na nag-earn ka lang annually, you're earning quarterly, and then those interests that you earn on a quarterly basis will be reinvested, no? So talaga nag-accumulate, no? So in order for us to understand the concept better, let's still use the same problem, no? But then let's do 3 different compounding methods, no? Like semi-annual, quarterly, and monthly, no? So let's do that. Problem number 2. So ito, class, ha, kanina balikan natin yung problem number 1. So pansinin, the Piolo places it in a savings account paying 5% annual interest compounded annually, no? So this time, sinasabi na sa atin dito is the compounding is semi-annual, quarterly, and monthly. So let's compare, no? So ito yung na-compute natin kanina. Highlight ko lang. So paano daw kung semi-annual? Of course, class, ang mababago lang naman pag semi-annual is we have to divide the rate, this one, by 2. Kasi semi-annual meaning twice in a year, no? And of course, we have to multiply the n by also 2. Kasi nga, 2 beses na tayo nakaka-receive ng interest, no? So with that, let's derive the formula. So we have present value multiplied by 1 plus 6%, so 1.06, divided by 2. Siguro, class, para hindi ka malito, lagyan ko siya ng ganito para at least masusundan natin yung nangyayari. Okay. So this 10, actually this is 10,000. Ayan. Siguro para lang at least mas ma-appreciate mo yung concept or ano yung nabago nung naging semi-annual na yung compounding. So class, notice this, ha. Nung nag-calculate tayo sa ng annually, wala tayong ginamit na other factors in our calculation, no? So parang ganito lang, no? Nung annually, ganito yung naging solution natin, no? So alisin natin tong 2, alisin ko rin tong 2. So okay. So kung napansin nyo, wala akong minultiply doon na other numbers, no? Kasi nga annual, so meaning once a year, so parang there's no sense multiplying it by 1. Okay. But in this case, sabi kasi semi-annual. ang tinatanong sa atin sa problem is magkano ba yung worth pa rin in 10 years time. No? But this time, semi-annual na yung payment of interest sa class, hindi na siya annually. So meaning nakaka-receive ka ng interest twice a year. No? That's semi-annual. So what we need to do is multiply this factor, 1 plus 0.06 divided by 2, and then raise to the n, no? So that n is actually the number of years. So 10 multiplied by 2. So the answer is 18,061. Pero class, ang gusto kong ma-notice nyo here is mas malaki yung naging value ng pera ni Piolo compared to annually. So from 17,908 naging 18,061. So it only proves na kung mas marami yung frequency of paying you interest, mas lumalaki yung pera natin, no? Kasi nga ito pa, pansinin mo class, isa pang factor is kinalculate natin dito yung yearly, no? So year 2, ito yung amount ng pera ni Piolo. So again, we use 2, no, as a factor, no, to indicate that we are receiving interest semi-annually, so times 2. Okay? So let's go now to quarterly. So this time, quarterly class, and as you know, we have 4 quarters in a year, no? So therefore, what we need to do is simply multiply it by 4. In fact, class, pwede ko itong kopyahin papunta rito and then simply multiply it by, divide it by 4 and multiply it by 4. Okay. So what I'd like you to, what I'd like to emphasize here, class, is in computing for these types of problem, be careful on the frequency of compounding kasi magkakaroon ka ng error, and especially if it's a multiple choice problem, chances are all of these answers will be included in the choices, no? So paano kung halimbawa ang inuna mo annually pero ang hinihingi pala ng problem is monthly. So nakita mo na agad yung sagot doon, binilugan mo na. So mali ka pala, no? So be careful in terms of the frequency of the compounding, no? So in this case, para at least mas maging familiar pa tayo sa ganito mga types of problem, kinuha na natin lahat ng scenario, no? So meron tayo dito quarterly, and as you can see ulit, mas malaki ulit yung pera natin, no? Kasi nga quarterly, so 4 times, no? Imagine you're getting 4 times interest payment in a year, and then nagko-compound yun, no? So therefore, mas malaki yung earnings natin, mas lumalaki yung pera natin. Okay? And what if it's on monthly basis, no? And as you know, pag monthly basis, meron tayong 12 months in a year, no? So in this case, what we need to do is multiply it by 12, no? Okay. In fact, class, yun yung ginawa natin. Still following the same formula, no? But this time monthly. And what I'd like you to notice is yung level of money natin, no? So from annually of 17,908, if it's monthly, naging 18,193. And we're talking about 10,000 pesos only here, no? So what if it's more than 10,000 pesos, no? Okay, so that's problem number 2. Okay, so let's talk about future value when rates of interest change. So paano naman to? Kanina kasi, pinag-usapan natin, di ba si Piolo may 10,000, dineposit sa bangko, nag-earn ng interest, no? Pero yung interest fixed at how much? 6%. Tama ba? Yes, 6%. No? So for the next 10 years, 6% daw yung kikitain niya. Compounded annually. So, fixed. Paano naman kung ang problem hindi fix. So meaning there's change in the interest rate, no? So how are we going to approach those types of problem, no? And with that, let's go to problem number 3 para at least practicein na natin, no, yung concept, no? So let's go to problem number 3. Si Piolo ulit. How much is Piolo's original deposit worth at the end of the 2 years, no? So basically, Piolo invests 10,000. During the first year, the investment earned 20%, and during the second year, Piolo earns only 4%. Siguro dahil pandemic, no? Kaya siguro 4% lang kinita niya nung second year, no? Let's solve problem number 3. Okay. So class, in solving problem number 3, what we did is actually what we use is the present value multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate, and then multiply by 1 plus the interest rate ulit ng second year naman, no? So in this case, ang formula natin is 10,000 plus multiply by 1 plus 0.20. So 1.20 multiply by 1.04, and we get 12,480. So meaning, ang kailangan pala natin gawin, class, pag nagbabago ang interest, multiply lang natin do sa factor na 1 plus I, no? I being the interest rate, no? Sa ibang libro, R yan, no? So rate, no? But anyway, I is for interest para at least mas maalala mo, no? Or R for rates, no? Well, it's up to you. Parehas lang naman yan. What I'd like you to notice here, class, is that depending dun sa number of changes nung rates, ganun mo siya karaming beses dapat i-multiply, no? Okay. So that's problem number 3 on how to compute future value when rates of interest are changing. So let's go now to compound interest and present values. Now, present value is the value today of a future cash flow or series of cash flows. So that is, present value is the future amount discounted to the present by some required rate. So, class, ito yung sinasabi natin, no? Yung example natin kanina. In 2 years' time, if you graduate as cum laude, you'll get 100,000 pesos, sabi ni Mami. So, ngayon, kailangan lang natin malaman magkano ba yung value ng 100,000 that you're going to receive in 2 years' time today. So basically, ito naman yung pag-uusapan natin dito. Now, what are the formulas? So, present value is equals to future value multiplied by 1 divided by 1 plus I, or the interest rate, raised to n. Ngayon, class, there are 2 ways to compute the present value, no? So the other one is future present value is equals to future value multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate raised to minus n, or the number of years, no? And let's have problem number 4. All right. Okay, so in problem number 4, class, the requirement is to solve for the present value of 100,000 to be received 10 years from today if your discount rate is 6%. O, ito muna, class. Discount rate or interest rate, they're both the same, no? Parehas lang yan. It's just that when we're asked to compute for present value, the term is discount rate, no? And when we're being asked to compute for future value, of course, it's called interest rate, no? But then it's one and the same, no? Okay, so Piolo goes on vacation in Japan and sees an advertisement stating that he'll receive 100,000 simply for taking a tour of a model building. Siyempre, di ba, class? Pasok ka lang daw ng model building, check mo yon, makaka-receive ka ng 100,000. However, siyempre si Piolo hindi naman basta-basta. So, he did a little investigation and he discovers that the 100,000 is in the form of savings bond that will pay you the 100,000 for 10 years. No? So what is the present value of 100,000 to be received 10 years from today? if your discount rate is 6%, no? So, kung napapansin niyo class, ang approach ko is to always write down the given information, no? Kasi kung maalala ko nga dun sa elementary days natin, laging ganyan eh. No? I forgot the acronym, pero what is us, what are given, alala niyo yun? Baka mas naalala niyo yun. No? So, na-practice ko siya, no? So from elementary days till undergrad and up to now, no? So whenever I analyze complex problems or even the basic problems, no, I keep writing down all the pertinent information, relevant information, so that when I start solving the problem, mas mabilis ko nang ma-analyze, no? So it's also good, no, to do that practice, no? So okay, so let's have problem number 4, and let's just follow the formula, no? So we're being asked to compute for the present value of the 100,000 savings bond to be received in 10 years time, no? So paano yung formula natin? So una nating ginamit is yung pangalawang formula. So future value plus 1 plus the rate of 6% multiplied by minus 10. No? So we get 55,839. Pero class, ang gusto ko mapansin muna dito before I go to the other solution is actually in computing for this type of problems, meron tayo talaga dalawang factors. Una, yung present value, and at the same time yung present value factor. Pag-usapan natin yung present value factor. Basically, class, ito lang naman yan. Yung naka-enclose, no? So, the present value factor includes the information on the rates and at the same time, the number of years, no? Until you receive the money, basically, no? So, in this case, 10 years, no? So, etong present value factor, there's a way to compute it using the formula which I just introduced to you, no? So using this equation, we're able to calculate for 0.5584, no? But then there are tables provided, no? Pag sinabing provided, binibigay na sa atin yan, no? So like this one, class, we have the table 1 or the present value of 1 peso. So pansinin natin, class, ha? Paano ba gagamitin to? Ang problem natin is 10 years, no? So, N is 10 years. Ilang percent nga? 6%. So, at 10 years and that 6% discount rate, the present value factor is 0.558, which is exactly the same number when we calculated it using the formula. So, po-provide ko sa inyo to, paki-memorize na lang. Siyempre, biro lang yun, no? You don't need to memorize this class, ha? Ulitin ko yun, ha? Baka mamaya may mga iba sa inyo seryoso. Hindi nyo kailangan i-memorize to. This is always given, no? Especially in problems. Or kung hindi man, kasama to dun sa annex ng book, or kung hindi man, provided palagi ito dun sa information. Or ito naman, kung what if hindi given yung factors, so you can always compute for it, no? Yun nga yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina pa. Alright? So, what I'm trying to say is there's a table like this, no? Syempre, accountants tayo. Kailangan lang naman natin more on our expertise on analysis, no? Not necessarily to compute for these factors, right? Okay, so therefore, the present value of that 100,000 to be received in 10 years time is 55,839.48. Kaya nga sinasabi natin, the amount of peso, the amount of money today is not the same worth, no, in the future. So imagine, no, 100,000 in the future. In fact, that's only 55,000. No? Try naman natin yung oops, Gawin ko tong 100,000 kasi what I'd like to prove here is that we would get the same same result, no, just by using these two formula, no. So this should be 10 years. All right, so it's the same naman, class, no. So the first one use this second formula, and then this one use the same. We use this one, no. So the first one. So it's 1 divided by 1 plus 6% raised to 10. So future value of 100,000. So that's 55,839. And again, we have the same present value factor. So ngayon, class, what I suggest you to do is, syempre, familiarize with the formula, no, using your calculator. Especially, it's easier to do this using the scientific calculator, no. But just be mindful which scientific calculators are still allowed in the board exam. Kasi what I'd like you to do as early as now is kung ano yung calculator mo na gamit ngayon, sana yan na rin yung calculator na gamit mo up to the time na magte-take ka na ng board exam, no? Kasi mas familiar ka na dyan, no? So mahalin mo yung calculator mo na yan at yan na rin yung gagamitin mong calculator. Kasi ang pinakaayaw mo mangyari is yan yung ginagamit mo during undergrad and then ibang calculator yung gamit mo during CPA board. Masasayang yung, alam mo yun, yung pagiging familiar mo dun sa function ng calculator mo. So also that's an important tip. Okay, so that's problem number 4. Ito pa, para siguro mas ma-comprehend pa talaga natin, let's have another example, no? So let's have discussion problem number 5. So discussion problem number 5, Piolo received an award from Itbulaga. Oh, kapuso at kapamilya to, ha? They offer Piolo a choice between receiving 100,000 today or 105,000 next year. Now, you're the financial manager, no? If the interest rate is 6%, which alternative would you recommend Piolo to choose? Oh, so yan, ha. Ang choices natin is number 1, receive the 100,000 pesos today or receive 105,000 pero next year. Okay. In order to solve that, of course, we have to apply the concept of present value. So this is the same concept naman, no? So what are the given? So we have the future value. Of course, hindi natin ko compute yung 100,000 because this is the present value today, no? So the future value 105,000. How much is the interest? It's 6%. Tapos yung year, of course, 1 year lang kasi next year naman, no? So let's derive the formula. I use the second one, no? So future value of 105,000 multiplied by 1 plus 6% raised to minus 1. No? So we have 99,056.60. Now, let's talk about our answer, no? So nakapag-compute tayo, we have to compare it versus 100,000. Now, as financial managers, what should we recommend to Piolo? Should he accept the 100,000 pesos today or wait for next year and receive 105,000? Okay, so the answer is, of course, receive 100,000 pesos for the very reason that the 105,000 next year is actually just 99,000 pesos only, no? Okay, so mas maigi na maka-receive na si Piolo ng 100,000 pesos ngayon and he invests, and especially if it's compounding, no? So mas malaki pa yung ma-earn niya. Okay? So let's go now to annuity. Pero pag-usapan natin, what are annuities ba? So annuities are essentially series of fixed payments required from you or paid to you at a specified frequency over the course of a fixed period of time. A compound annuity involves depositing or investing an equal sum of money at the end of each year for a certain number of years and allowing it to grow. So class, parang ganito lang yan. if it's a mortgage, so sabihin natin na kumuha ka ng condominium unit, no? So of course, you have to enter into a mortgage loan with the bank, and then you have to pay it for a fixed payment over say sabihin mo na 15 years, no? So sabihin na in 15 years you're paying 40,000 pesos monthly. Basically, that 40,000 that you pay to the bank, that's the annuity, no? Now, there are ways or ways to pay the annuity, no? It could be number one, end of payment intervals. We call it ordinary annuity, or at the beginning of payment intervals, or called annuity due. O wag malilito, ganito lang 'yan. Say for example, that 40,000, no, yung example natin, no. So you purchase a condominium unit, you entered a mortgage loan with the bank, you pay 40,000 pesos annuity payment, no, monthly, over the course of 40 years, no. So ang sinasabi lang natin, if it's an ordinary annuity, you pay towards the end of the month. If it's a annuity due, you pay at the beginning of the month. So yun lang yun. So the terms of an annuity may begin and end on fixed dates, certain annuity, or depend on some event that cannot be fixed. No? So a perpetuity annuity is one that carries on indefinitely. So we'll discuss that in detail. No? So let's go now first with ordinary annuity. O wag malilito ulit pag sinabi nating ordinary annuity, the payment is made at the end of the payment interval. So meaning kung year 1, end of year 1 ang bayad, no? Okay. So we have this annuity future value interest factor. Parang complex tignan, pero later on we'll have it applied in the problem, no? But basically, there's a note here. The last payment earns no interest in ordinary annuity, no? So future value of ordinary annuity is equals to payment multiplied by 1 plus the rate raised to n is still the number of years, minus 1 divided by the interest rate. No? So pag-usapan natin to by having discussion problem number 6. So in problem number 6, how much Piolo would have at the end of 5-year period, no? So Piolo is receiving 10,000 pesos every year for the next 5 years. And Piolo invested each payment at 5%. So parang ganito yung class. Meron daw nare-receive si Piolo na 10,000 pesos each year, and then nire-reinvest niya to and it earns 5% interest each year, no? So magkano daw yung pera towards the end of 5 years, no? So let's have this, let's solve this, no? Problem number 6. Okay. So problem number 6 is an ordinary annuity. So we have payment, PMT, no? That's payment, no? So 10,000. Lagay ko lang ulit yung mga given class before I proceed with the analysis. Of course, the interest rate is also given. That's 5%. The number of years is 10. O ngayon, pag-usapan natin yung future value of ordinary annuity. So basically, class, meron tayo 5 years, no? And in ordinary annuity, sabi natin, ano nga yung concept ng ordinary annuity? The payment is made towards the end of the interval, no? So towards the end of each year, no? So parang ganito yan. Year 0, so today, kailan mo ma-receive yung unang payment? So end of year 1. So that's your year 1, no? So end of year 1. So that's the first 10,000. Next is year 2. Year 3, another 10,000. Year 4, another 10,000. Another 10,000 towards year 5. No? Ngayon, we have, we can compute it using long method. No? Paano yun? So isa-isa natin. So Dahil nga future value of ordinary annuity yung pinag-uusapan natin, simulan natin yung 5th year. No? So dahil 5th year, only 10,000. No? So 10,000 multiplied by 1 plus the rate of 5% raised to 0. Kasi nga, that's 5th year na. Dahil 5th year na, sabi di ba kanina, it doesn't earn interest. No? Tama ba yan? Ayan, no? Last payment earns no interest in ordinary annuity. Okay, so let's do this. No? So 4th year, of course, kung 4th year yan, meron pang 1 year. No? So we calculate it. No? So 1 year and then 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. Compute natin, ay kunin natin yung total ng lahat. So that's 55,256.31. Okay lang yun kung 5 years lang. Eh what if 70 years ang pinapakompute sa atin, no? So baka doon pa lang naubos na lahat yung oras mo. Pero wag kang mamroblema kasi meron tayong isang formula dito. So how to do this using the formula? So sabi natin, it's payment multiplied by 1 plus the rate of 5% multiplied by, or raised to the power, raised to n, which is the number of years, and in this case 5, less 1 over the interest rate of 5%. No? And in fact, we're getting the same numbers. No? It's still 55,256.31. Like I said, class, in solving these types of problem, you can either do long method or you can just simply apply the formula, and either ways you'll get the same answer naman. So what I did in this problem is I showed to you how to do the long method, and at the same time I derived the formula, and as you can see, we got the same one and the same answer naman. So that's discussion problem number 6. Okay. Paano naman, sige, lakihan ko lang ito. Paano naman kung uneven yung cash flow? O di ba dun sa example natin sa problem number 6, 10,000 each year. Paano kung si Piolo gusto year 1, 10,000. Year 2, medyo nakaluwag-luwag, nakaka-LL, naging 20,000. Year 3, mas naka-LL, 7,000. Pagdating year 4, alam mo yun, uneven na. So, paano natin i-compute pag gano'n, no? So, class, if it's an even cash flow, the only method that we can use is the long method, no? So, we cannot apply the formula. So, tandaan ulit if it's an even cash flow, we can only use the long method. So meaning, isa-isa natin i-compute and then we just get the sum, no? Okay? So to illustrate this, let's have problem number 7. Sige. Okay, so in problem number 7, class, si Piolo will be receiving the following cash flows for the next 5 years. No? So 10,000 daw in year 1, 20 year 2, 30,000 in year 3, 40 in year 4, and then 50,000 in year 5. Ang tatandaan lang natin, in ordinary annuity, yung last year won't earn any interest. No? So yun lang ang tatandaan natin dito. No? So therefore, we're now ready to compute. No? So year 5, of course, sabi natin, wala talagang wala nang interest dyan. No? Year 4, it's 40,000. Year 3 is 30,000. And then year 2 is 20,000. And then yung 10,000 ng year 1 is in year 1, it's 10,000. So, get the formula, derive the formula, and then get the sum. No? So, it's 160,382. So, ulitin ko lang, class, in solving future value ordinary annuity, if it's uneven cash flow, pag sinabi natin uneven cash flow, hindi consistently, hindi fix yung amount, no? So the only way to solve that is by calculating it one by one. So yun nga, yung long method, no? We can't use this formula, okay? So that's discussion problem number 1. Now, let's go to ordinary annuity. Pero this time, remember kanina pinag-usapan natin sa ordinary annuity is future value, no? Pero this time, medyo pinahirapan na tayo ni problem, no? This time ang gusto niya gusto niya i-compute natin is yung payment. So meaning, 'di ba yung 10,000 ni Piolo regularly for the next 5 years, yun yung gusto niya ipa-compute sa atin, no? So how are we going to do that? Of course, we also have a formula to compute for the payment. Its payment is equals to future value kasi this time given na yung future value, no? Of course, kailangan given yung mga elements, no? Otherwise we cannot compute for it, no? So divided by 1 plus the interest rate raised to n minus 1 divided by the interest rate, no? So to illustrate that, let's have problem number 8. So please stay with me, no? So like I said, it's a lengthy discussion, but then every time I introduce a new topic, there's also a related discussion problem, no? So I'm sure you can appreciate this. Just stay with me, no? So discussion problem 8, no? How large must these deposits be to accumulate 200 million? So ganito, Piolo Auditing Firm wishes to establish a fund which in 5 years will accumulate to 100 million. The fund will use to repay an outstanding bond issue. Piolo plans to make deposits which will earn 12% to this fund at the end of each of the 5 years prior to maturity of the bonds. How large must these deposits to be accumulate to 100 million? So ganito lang naman yan, class. Gusto ni Piolo Auditing Firm na magkaroon ng 100 million in 5 years time. Kasi meron daw siyang paggagamitan, ipambabayad niya rin doon sa long-term liability niya, no? Ngayon, magkano yung dapat na i-fund niya or i-deposit which will earn 12% to make sure that he gets 100 million towards the end of 5 years, no? So, futuristic. Ang ganda nga nitong i-apply dun sa naalala niyo yung discussion natin sa stock investment, no? So, magkano daw yung 25,000 pesos mo today in 40 years time, no? So, sabi natin doon 25 years old ka ngayon. Plus 40, 65, age of retirement, no? So magkano daw yung 25,000 pesos mo today in 40 years time, no? So this time, ang sinasabi lang dito is si Piolo kailangan niyang 100M, ang laki naman. Magkano daw yung kailangan niyang invest yearly so that by year 5, towards the end of year 5, he'll get 100M. So pag usapan natin yan using problem number 8. Okay, so in problem number 8, like I said, it's still on ordinary annuity, but this time, yung payment na yung pinapasolve sa atin. So, challenge tayo hindi daw basta pwede na very straightforward lang, no? So, ngayon payment na. Pero sabi natin, there's a way to calculate that, no? So, let's just first note all the pertinent information. So how much is the future value? Yun nga. Kasi gusto niya maka-earn ng 100M. Oops. Okay. How much is the interest rate? It's 12%. And the number of years, it's 5 years, no? So let's derive the formula. So basically, we have the future value of 100 million. Divided by 1 plus the interest raised to 5 minus 1 divided by the interest rate. So we get 15,740,973. So ang sinasabi dito, if Piolo invest Saglit lang. Nauusi ako sa... If Piolo invests 15,740,970 each year for the next 5 years, he will get 100 million pesos um, towards the end of 5 years. No? So that's how we compute the payment, no, in this type of problems. Okay? So present value of an annuity. So sabi natin kanina, it's the same it's the same concept, but this time ang pinapakompute na sa atin is paano naman kung at the beginning of payment intervals, no? So annuity due. So annuity is a series of equal payments or receipts that occur at evenly spaced intervals, no? So leases and rental payments are examples. Annuities may be paid, so ganun ulit, end of payment interval, we call it ordinary annuity. If it's at the beginning of payment intervals, we call it annuity due. So the present value can be computed in different ways. No? So basically, class, kanina pinag-uusapan natin is future value. This time, ang pinag-uusapan na natin is present value. So kung kanina, ang pinag-uusapan natin is yung 100M, magkano daw yung kailangan niya, magkano yung value ng pera niya today in 5 years time. No? So yung 15 million invested each year for the next 5 years he'll get 100M, no, towards the end of 5 years. No? But this time, pinag-uusapan naman natin yung present value. No? So here's the formula. No? So it's payment multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus the interest rate raised to n. Again, yung n, this is the number of years divided by the interest rate. No? Sige. Let's have discussion problem 9 to illustrate that. So number 9. Okay. So in discussion problem number 9, Piolo expects to receive 1,000 pesos for 5-year ordinary annuity with a discount rate of 11%. What is the present value of the collection for 5 years? No? So basically, class, yung 1,000 pesos, he expect it to receive in 5 years' time. Pinapakompute sa atin is how much is the value of that 5,000 pesos today. No? Sige. So what are the information given? So meron tayo payment of 1,000. Ay, wait lang. Interest of 11%, and then number of years, no? So 5 years. Again, class, introduce ko muna yung long method, no? So this time, class, present value ang pinag-uusapan natin. So in present value, we have to compute it by putting all these years, no? So year 1, of course, dahil nga present value to, kailangan natin compute isa-isa, no? So for year 1, it's 1,000 divided by 1.11 raised to 1. So that's 900.90. And then for 2, it's 811.62. For year 3, it's 731.19. Year 4 is 658.73. And year 5, 593.45. Same lang naman yung formula, class. So we get the sum. We get now the present value of ordinary annuity. Now, let's apply the formula. So again, this is the long method. Pag-usapan natin yung formula naman. So the formula is payment multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus I is 11% in this case, raised to minus 5 divided by the rate, no, which is 11%. Kaya nga ito dalawang factor ulit ang sinosolve natin dito, class. Meron tayo dito yung present value factor ulit. which is 3.695897. Ngayon, in this type of problem, the present value of 1, meron tayo ulit isa pang table, no? Let me just get the table from here, no? So it's 5 years, wala palang 11% dito. So good thing that we were able to compute it, no? So, all right. Okay, so as you can see, class, parehas naman yung nakuha nating present value, ordinary annuity, no? Okay. So, sige, itodo na natin, no? So in discussion problem number 10, kung napansin nyo, this time, hindi na naman even yung cash flow, no? So, again, in this type of problem, we can't actually use the formula. So what we'll need to do is we'll use the long method, no? So paano yun? So payment is uneven, nilagay ko dyan. Interest rate is 8%. Number of years is 4, no? Okay, so sa year 1, there's a formula. So it's 1,000. Oops, mali to. It's 30,000 divided by 1.08 raised to 1, no? So for year 1. No? So para hindi ka siguro mali to, I'll just put this here. Oops. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll just change the 1.11 to 1.08. Replace all. And then ito, gagawin ko siya, year 1 is 30,000. Year 2 is 20,000. Year 3 is 70,000. Year 4 is 10,000. All right. So kung napansin niyo, parehas naman siya. No? So nilagay ko lang din dito para at least for the sake of discussion tsaka review. No? So therefore, we get the total, the sum. So the present value of ordinary annuity is 107,843. So meaning, ito yung present value of all the collections, no, of all these cash flows for the next 4 years. No? So tatandaan lang, class, ha? In present value or in future value, if it relates to uneven cash flow, we have to use the long method, no? And the only difference between future value and present value is that in future value, we actually do not compute, we do not include interest computation for the last year, no? Okay, so let's go now to present value of an annuity. In fact, this is the same case, no? Pero this time, pag-usapan natin, paano kung ang hinahanap naman ulit is payment, no? That's why it's highlighted below. So if it's payment, of course, gaya nga nung kinompute natin kanina sa future value, there's also a way for us to compute for it now using the present value, no? So paano yun? That's problem number 11. No? So Piolo Entertainment Corporation is in need of additional funds for his new building. And he applied for 10 million loan. Ito, magandang problem, no? 10 million loan from KC Bank. Aba, si Piolo, KC pala to. According to Piolo's financial manager, ikaw yon, the company can only afford a maximum yearly loan payment of 3 million. KC Bank has offered Piolo, may offer si bank, no? So number 1, 3-year loan with 10% interest rate. Number 2, 4-year loan with 11% interest rate. Or number 3, 5-year loan with 12% interest rate. Now, compute the loan payment under each option and which option should Piolo choose, no? So basically, class, in this type of problems, ito na, no? nakikita na natin how we can apply the time value of money concept in basically making decisions, no? Like in this case, kung napansin mo, yung offer ni bank, the longer the term, no, the higher the interest rate, no? Pero ganyan talaga palagi nag-work yung bangko, no? So, like yung example natin kanina, if you purchase a condominium unit and then you entered a mortgage loan with the bank, mas mahaba yung terms of payment mo, mas malaki yung interest na binabayaran mo. Kaya nga, if you have cash, might as well use it. No? So, in this case, ang kailangan daw ni Piolo is 10 million. No? So, 10 million to build a new building. No? Now, obviously, wala siya cash to support that. No? So, he needs to go to KC Bank. And ito namang si KC, dahil nga very loving to Piolo, nagbigay naman ng proposal. In fact, 3 proposals. No? Ngayon, as financial managers, as accountants, kailangan natin i-assess ano ba yung, ano dito sa mga options na to, yung swak or yung fit doon sa requirement ni Piolo, number 1, at the same time, yung fit doon sa capacity ni Piolo to pay. Kasi ang ayaw natin mangyari is mag-ipit si Piolo, mahatak ni bank yung building. No? So in this case, ang kailangan nating alamin is ano ba yung option na bagay kay Piolo? Is it the 3-year loan with 10% interest? The 4-year loan with 11% or yung 5-year loan with 12%? At isa pang tatandaan natin na ang kaya lang ni Piolo ay magbayad ng 3 million per year. Sige. Pag-usapan natin yan and let's have problem number 11. Okay. So in problem number 11, tandaan, given na yung present value, no? So 10 million ang kailangan natin. So that's 10 million. Ngayon, given na rin yung 10, yung sa option 1, sabi kasi 10%. So option 1 muna tayo. Let's do it one by one. And then number of years in option 1 is 3 years, no? So let's apply the formula. It's present value. In this case, class, ang ginawa ko muna, at least para lang din ma-appreciate nyo, kinumpute muna natin yung factor. No? So yung factor is basically ito lang, class. Na. So 1 minus, then 1 plus the rate. So 1 plus 0.10 raised to minus 3. Ayan. Divided by the interest rate of 10%. No? And then ang next step is present value of 10 million divided by the factor na 2.4869. No? So the payment for option 1 is 4 million. Mamaya tayo mag-decide. Let's do option number 2 first. No? Sa option number 2 naman, lagay ko lang din dito. Option number 2 naman, present value, still the same, 10 million. The interest rate this time is 11% given yan, class. The number of years this time is 4 years, no? So again, let's calculate the present value factor. That's 3.1024. 10 million divided by 3.1024, that's 3,223,263.52. That's the payment for option number 2. Let's do option number 3 naman. So the same, meron tayong 10 million. And then meron tayong 12%, ayan, given, option number 3. And of course, meron tayong number of years. In this case is 5 years. No? So let's get the factor. Again, class, practice calculating the factors, no, using your calculator. No? Right now, we're doing online sessions. Of course, we're using Excel file. But remember, during your CPA board, well, God permits na wala pandemic by that time, talagang you have to use your calculator. So I suggest, palagi kong sasabihin, be familiar with the functions of your calculator. So mahalin mo na ngayon yan. Ngayon pa lang yan. So paano mo mamahalin ang calculator mo? Of course, by trying to be familiar with how to calculate these factors. Kasi tingnan mo, ang daming mga parentheses niyan. So make sure that you're able to get the same factors as what I've indicated in the Excel file, basically. All right. So 10 million divided by 3.6048. So that's 2,774,097.32. Ngayon, class, ano dyan sa tatlong options ang i-recommend natin kay Piolo? Tandaan, ang pinag-uusapan din natin dito is sabi, the company or si Piolo daw can only afford a maximum yearly loan payment of 3 million. I-assess natin yung option 1. Option 1 is 4 million. Kaya bang bayaran ni Piolo yan? The answer is no, kasi ang kaya niya lang is 3 million. Option number 2 is 3.2 million. Kaya bang bayaran ni Piolo yan? The answer is no, kasi nga 3 million lang yung capacity niya to pay. And option number 3, this is the correct answer. This is what should we recommend to Piolo. Because in here, we're only required to pay 2,774,000, which is within Piolo's capacity to pay. So tandaan, we have 3 options and yet dito lang yung kaya nating bayaran. Dito lang yung kayang bayaran ni Piolo. So this is how good time value of money concept is. Kasi nga, it helps us to advise to Piolo. All right. So that's discussion problem number 11. Now let's talk about annuity 2. O sige balikan natin. Sabi natin, pag ordinary annuity, ang payment is towards the end of the interval. So kung year 1, ang bayad is towards end of year 1. If it's annuity due, ang sinasabi lang natin is it's in the period earlier. So siguro para mas maintindihan yan, let's compare one from the other. So yung result na rin. So let's have discussion problem number 12. So problem number 12. What is the present value of an annuity due of 80,000 annual payments discounted at 10%? Tandaan na, dito ang pinapakompute sa atin is annuity due. Okay? So what are the pertinent information? So meron tayong 80,000 na payment. Interest rate of 10%. Number of years, ilan to? 5 years. Kasi nga 5 annual payments. Okay. So I'm sure this time familiar na kayo dito sa formula. So just try to do it yourselves and then get the sum. It's 303,262. So just get the sum of all those figures above. Now the present value factor, it's 3.7908. So basically, class, we just derive it using the present value, the present value formula here. So that's 3.7904. And in fact, if we're going to refer back to the table, that's the same, 3.791, 3.7908. Okay. So of course, what we need to do next is divide it, or multiply it. So that's 303,262.94. Okay, so that's the present value of an ordinary due. Pero paano naman pag present value of an annuity? So tandaan mo lang class, pag present value of an annuity, ang pinaka-basic lang dyan na tatandaan is dadagdagan mo lang ng isa pang factor, which is yung 1 plus the rate. So instead na 3.790908, just add 1 plus the rate to get the present value of an annuity. So in fact, what I did is, it's the same, no? Kung pansin nyo, alisin ko to, parehas yung naging calculation natin. That's 300,262.94. But this time, I just added what? That factor, no? 1.10, no? To arrive with the present value of an ordinary annuity. Kasi tandaan, pag ordinary annuity due, in advance. So therefore, meron kang added interest, no, included in present value of an annuity. Okay, so that's problem number 12. And in fact, that ends our discussion on time value of money.
This has been your instructor, Mark Gibson. Thank you for learning with us. See you in our next discussion. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya!